The reason behind such strong growth in 2014-2015 was the car industry. There were new capacities opened up, but these capacities have been fully utilised and no more stimulus can be expected from this industry in 2016. Zoltan Torok, Raiffeisen Bank. The Hungarian forint weakened against the dollar after the central bank cut interest rates in April to a record low. However, that was short-lived and the currency traded higher again shortly after. What is your outlook for the future rate cuts and also for the forint?
I expect one more last rate cut from the central bank. So the key rate is expected to bottom at 0.9% and stay there for a very long time period. So for 2017, for 2018, I don't see any inclination from the side of the central bank to change this rate level. As far as the exchange rate is concerned, I think the forint has been relatively quite stable over the past 1.5 years, and I expect to remain so stable. So I expect the Euro-HUF exchange rate to stay at 3.10, 3.15. So no major trends are seen in the forint.
The OECD recently presented an upbeat picture of the Hungarian economy when it put GDP growth at 2.5% this year and 3% next year. What was behind this upwardly revised forecast for 2017?
I think there's a general consensus among economists that the Hungarian economy is going to underperform in 2016. So GDP growth rate is going to be closer to 2% than 3% as opposed to 2015. And the slowdown of the growth is coming mainly from the fewer EU fund utilization. The 2014-2015 strong growth rates are partly explained by the strong EU fund utilization of the Hungarian government. Now, we have closed down the previous budgetary period and no more money can be utilized from those funds. And the inauguration of the new funds, the accessibility of the new budgetary period's funds is quite slow. Therefore, we expect slower EU funds to come into the Hungarian economy. Apart from that, the reason behind such a strong growth in 2014-15 was the car industry. There were new capacities opened up in the car industry, but now these capacities are fully utilized. And no more stimulus or no strong stimulus can be expected from the car industry in 2016. As far as 2017 is concerned, there are more EU funds to be expected on one side. On the other side, there are more capacities coming into the picture in the car industry. In the underlying development, one can spot the strengthening household consumption as the main pillar of economic growth that is expected to further strengthen into 2017. And one additional thing which has been announced only the past week was a fiscal loosening starting from 2016, but getting fully fledged in 2017 for a growth stimulating.
The government recently stated that it expects upgrades from at least 2 out of the 3 big ratings agencies this year. What will the agencies be looking for in order to raise their outlook?
I think if a rating agency decides on its rating change, it must look mainly on the debt development of the debtor in case of the Hungarian government. How it's gonna evolve in the future. Over the past years, the Hungarian government had a very strict fiscal policy. Budget deficit cuts were delivered. The deficit continuously decreased. It did not reach 2% of GDP last year, so it was a sober and disciplined fiscal stance of the Hungarian government. And as a consequence, the debt to GDP ratio peaked first and then started to decline slowly but steadily. Now there's a change in this respect with the above-mentioned fiscal loosening of the Hungarian government. Therefore, I think the debt metrics of the Hungarian state is not going to improve, or it's going to improve much less than with the previous fiscal policy stance it would have increased. Therefore, I think the rating agencies' upgrades are off the table.
Now, Hungary relies heavily on the EU for funding to finance infrastructure projects, but are unhappy with the migrant resettlement quota set out by the EU. What are you anticipating from the autumn referendum?
I think that the autumn referendum plan of the Hungarian government is not going to be a success in terms that participation rate will be very, very low. Although most probably the majority of those who would go to the referendum and vote, they would support the government's proposal. Nevertheless, I think in Hungarian politics and in Hungarian public opinion, the two topics, EU funds and the issue of the migrants crisis, are two separate issues, and they are not interconnected in any ways.
Now, if the outcome is not what Hungary wants, do you believe we could see Hungary holding a referendum, just like the UK, on whether to remain in the EU or not?
I think the purpose for Hungary to stay in the EU is far superior than any reasons why to leave the EU. Public opinion is very pro-EU. The government basically is pro-EU. Maybe it does not support more integration, which is evolving in the core countries. But I think it's not, there are no serious political ambitions, and there are no public backing for any kind of exit from the EU in Hungary.
Zoltan, thank you very much for speaking to us today. Well, that is all from me, Louise Macaulay. It's goodbye for now.